Hello and welcome back to Algebra learners. And I've got this great video here to teach you how to graph using slope-intercept form. Now the last time I taught you how to graph, we used the chart method where we made a chart with x and y's and we plugged our x values into the formula so that we could get a y value and then plot the points. Now this slope-intercept format is easier because you really only need to know two things, and that is the y-intercept, that number in the back behind the x, and whatever coefficient is in front of the x, and you can graph anything. So as long as you have an equation in this format, you can graph easily without the chart, easy peasy. We'll start by graphing A, which is y equals 1/2 x plus 2. The first thing you're always going to do when you graph using the slope-intercept method is you're going to look for this y-intercept. That's going to be the number in the equation that is by itself. It doesn't have a variable with it. In this example, it's the 2. Right? 2 doesn't have an x by it. It's not with the y. It's on its own. That's the y-intercept. What that means is that our graph is going to hit the y-axis at 2. So we can go down to our y-axis here, and we can count up from 0 to 1, 2, and we can put a dot there. That's going to be our first dot we're going to graph with. So we've already started. Now we just need one more dot, and we're going to use the slope 1/2 to figure that out. Okay, you might know that slope is equal to the change in y over the change in x. Now in math, a triangle just means change. Okay, it's the Greek symbol delta, and it means something's changing. So if we take a look at 1 over 2, that means that the y is changing 1 and the x is changing 2. That means that we're going up 1 and to the right 2. So if we go back over to our dot we made at plus 2, we have to go up 1 spot and to the right 2 spots. So if we go up 1 over 2, that's our next dot. And we can keep going forever if we wanted to. We can go up 1 over 2, another again, and again, until we make a line. And so there we have it. That's A. We did it. Okay, so let's do another one. Now B here, a little different. This time we've got a y-intercept of -3 and a slope of 3. So let's find our y-intercept. If we look at our y-axis, we're going to go down 3 spots. 1, 2, 3. That's where it's going to hit our y-axis. Now our slope this time is different. It's not a fraction, right? It's just 3. So if we're going to put our change in y over change in x, that's a bad y, but that's okay. Okay, for 3, we'd put 3 up here, and then 1 goes underneath. That keeps it as a 3. So that means for this one, we're going to be going up 3, and then to the right 1. Easy enough. We're already at -3, so we know we're going to be going up to the 0, to the x-axis, and then over 1. There we go. There's our second dot. We can make a third dot by going up 3 more and over 1 to right there. We already have a line there. Perfect. So we're going to put our drop line up through it. And there we have it. That's B. So now we've got 2 of our lines made. Let's do our last 2 real quick here. Here we've got y equals -1/4 x plus 1. So that means our y-axis is going to be, our y-intercept is going to be right there. And now we've got a different kind of slope. It's a negative slope. Okay? So if we make our change in y over change in x, okay, we've got -1 over 4. That means instead of going up 1, we're going to go down 1, and we're still going to go to the right 4. You're always going to go to the right, basically. That's a given. Every single time you're going to go to the right. So now we've got our -1, and instead of going up, like I said, we're going to go down. So we go down 1 and over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our second point. There we go. That's C. So now we've got our third line there. And now we just got one more to do. Y equals -2x minus 3. That one's pretty easy. We have the same starting point as our second one. And instead of going up 2 and over 1, we're going to go down 2 and over 1. So 1, 2, over. 1, 2, over. And there we have it. That's our fourth line. Woo! All right. So now we've got all 4 of our lines done. Forgot to label this one. That's important. D. All right. Now here are some important trends that you need to know taking a look at these graphs. Now if you look at A and B, notice that the slope in A and B are positive and the slopes for C and D are negative. The lines A and B are going this way. They're going up to the right. That's because they have a positive slope. The negative sloping ones are going down to the right because they have a negative slope. So if you have a line with a positive slope, it's going to be going up this way. And if you have a line with a negative slope, it's going to be going down this way. And that's because for our slopes, remember the top number decides whether we're going up or down, but you're always going to the right. The second thing that's important to note is using these equations, we can actually solve things, okay? You can figure out where 2 equations are equal by graphing them. Let's take a look at B and D. B and D meet at the Y-intercept, -3. That means that at that point, B and D are equal. So if you put in 0 for X and -3 for Y, you would get the same answer. Here's what I mean. So if you go to B and you put 0 in for X, you would get 0 minus 3, which is -3, and Y is equal to -3 at that point. And the same thing would happen if you did this at a D. -2 times 0 is 0 minus 3, and you'd end up getting -3 is equal to -3. That means those equations are equal at that point, and at that point only. That's the only point where they'll ever intersect, because these lines go on and on forever. So that means you can solve where 2 equations are equal by graphing them. That's pretty cool. I am going to teach you another way to figure that out that doesn't involve graphing. But for now, this is a pretty simple way of doing it. As long as you know how to graph, you can always find where 2 equations are equal. Gotta have really good graphs though. All right, now you know how to graph using the slope-intercept format. This is going to be really important in your algebra experience. You're going to be doing it a lot. So I hope that you found this useful and it's going to help you make your graphs well. If you can't do as excellent graphs as I can, because I've been practicing a lot, get some graph paper. That's going to make it easier for you. There's some pretty easy ways to get some. All you have to do is search for graph paper for homework on Google, and you can find whole sheets of graph paper that you can print from your home computer, so you don't have to go out and buy it in bulk. Hope you found this helpful. We'll see you next time for some more algebra. Bye.